The Caseverse is your space to explore real-world business events, decode disruptions, and uncover timeless management insights. Our mission: build critical thinking, scenario analysis, strategic perspective, and sound decision-making, the foundations of leadership excellence. Each video presents a case from current business reality, distilled into clear narratives and linked to proven management frameworks. Whether you're a student, teacher, manager, entrepreneur, or thought leader, the Caseverse helps you analyze, reflect, and stay ahead with actionable insights. Here, business is not just studied, it's experienced, questioned, and reimagined. Join the Caseverse community where every case holds a verse, and every verse shapes the future of business. The party ends, Tupperware's bankruptcy as a cautionary tale of missed shifts. About the case. Courses for discussion. The case is suitable for use in the subjects of business strategy, enterprise risk management, business bankruptcy. Target audience. The case has been designed for audience encompassing MBA students, management scholars, strategy enthusiasts, turnaround management enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, business leaders, strategic thinkers, teachers, and researchers in business management. Case study overview. Case domains. This case encompasses the domains of corporate turnaround, bankruptcy, leadership, strategy, disruption, innovation, risk. Theoretical lens framework applied. This case leverages Christensen's disruptive innovation theory. Business model canvas. The said frameworks can be used to analyze and interpret the scenario. By the end of the session, students should be able to analyze how incumbent firms fail to respond to disruptive innovation even when signs are visible. Apply Christensen's disruptive innovation theory to understand Tupperware's decline and how entrants reshaped the market. Use the business model canvas to assess how Tupperware's business model was once a strength but became misaligned with consumer behavior. Evaluate turnaround attempts and why structural inertia makes pivoting difficult for legacy firms. Derive broader lessons for consumer goods and direct selling businesses facing digital disruption. For a free copy of teaching note for this case, mail at thecaseverse1@gmail.com. The human geography of a collapse. When Tupperware's financial decline turned into a legal and operational collapse, the impact was not just in balance sheets, it was deeply personal and regional. In Portugal, for example, the factory in Montalvo, Constância, Santarém, which had been in operation since 1980, declared insolvency in early 2025. About 200 workers were laid off, many of them long-serving employees who lived in nearby towns. Their dismissal letters came with a promise of severance, but compensation would depend on the sale of the plant's assets, a process the insolvency manager estimated could take between 8 months and a year. In Belgium, the closure of the Aalst plant similarly put hundreds of employees out of work. The factory, with decades of history, was shuttered, affecting both production staff and the research division. Some 270 people lost their jobs at the main plant, with additional employees in auxiliary functions, such as research or labs, also displaced. Australia offers another stark example. As part of the winding down of operations, over 10,000 sales consultants are reported to be entering a volatile period where their income sources, supply lines, and network connections are uncertain. Warehouse staff and administrative employees in Australia face possible termination as the new ownership, Party Products, has indicated it will not continue operations in Australia as part of its plan. Globally, the scale of human impact is magnified by Tupperware's independent sales consultant base. At the time of the bankruptcy filing, the company disclosed employing about 5,450 direct employees in salaried roles, alongside approximately 465,000 independent sales contractors around the world. These contractors are often deeply embedded in local communities, relying on the consultant network not just for income, but for social connection, identity, and in many cases, a primary source of economic activity in areas with limited formal employment. The collapse also had regional economic implications beyond immediate job loss. In Montalvo, Portugal, the factory was one of the larger employers in its municipality. For many families, multiple generations had worked there. In small towns, the factory's payroll supported local shops, services, and infrastructure. The insolvency process, factory shutdowns, or production halts meant not only loss of income, but loss of stability, for workers uncertain when or whether they will be able to find comparable work, for local tax bases shrinking, and for communities facing years of transition. In many cases, uncertainty itself became a heavy burden. Workers in Portugal were informed on short notice that they would be laid off, or asked to stay home without clarity on when work might resume. Union leaders and local governments expressed frustration at delayed information, unclear timelines, and lack of visibility into what compensation would ultimately look like. Some workers noted that severance and unpaid salaries were owed, but bureaucratic delays tied to insolvency proceedings meant that many would not receive payments for months. In other markets, the collapse of local operations meant that sales consultants dependent on Tupperware's catalogs, in-party purchasing, and inventory supply were cut off. They often held inventory or made their own investments, e.g. display kits, sample units, hosting costs, under the assumption of ongoing operations. With the closure of warehouse or logistic support, mounting overheads, or inability to fulfill orders, many found themselves with sunk costs and little to no revenue. Some consultants in Australia publicly expressed that the writing had been on the wall for years as incomes flattened, new recruitments fell, and local enthusiasm dimmed. The emotional and social cost has also been considerable. For many consultants, particularly women in midlife or retirees, Tupperware was not just a side gig but a meaningful engagement, providing social contact, flexibility, and a way to participate in commerce. The abruptness of company decisions, lack of clarity, and fear of losing not just income but identity purpose have caused distress. Some workers with decades of service spoke of betrayal or frustration at being given little advanced warning. As the collapse unfolded, local authorities and unions were drawn in, for workers' compensation, for unemployment support, for transitional retraining. For example, in Portugal, union representatives expressed concern for the 200 workers in Montalvo, pleading for clarity, timely payment of owed wages, and severance. How the market quietly rewrote the script. As broader consumer behavior and market dynamics shifted, so did what counted as competitive advantage, and many of Tupperware's once core strengths quietly lost their luster. Several trends converged, almost invisibly, to redraw the parameters of success in food storage, kitchenware, and related home goods. First, price competition from private label or store brands has become much fiercer. In the global kitchen storage container market, reports indicate that retailer brands have significantly upgraded their offerings, matching functionality of national brands, e.g. sealing, stackability, lid ergonomics, while undercutting them by 20–35% on price in many mid-tier segments. These lower-cost alternatives put pressure on premium or heritage brands to justify higher price tags, even as consumers grew less willing to pay extra for marginal qualitative differences. Second, e-commerce and direct-to-consumer channels grew from optional side streams into essential battlegrounds. According to multiple market reports, online platforms allowed consumers far greater variety, instant comparisons, and bundling that legacy channels couldn't match. The food storage container market analysis forecasts that digital retail's influence will continue rising, with many customers now expecting options for fast delivery, product reviews, and online images videos before purchase. The ability to offer modular, stackable, airtight systems, easy lock mechanisms, or aesthetic appeal via product photography or influencer content became a new currency, not merely product design per se. Third, marketplace dynamics and online discovery became decisive. Consumers increasingly rely on ratings, reviews, and customer-generated content, not just official product specs or in-person testimonials. For example, a 2023 Power Reviews survey found that about 90% of shoppers consider customer ratings and reviews, and a large majority also look for user photos, videos, and social media or word-of-mouth recommendations before buying. On many platforms, products with lower review scores or fewer reviews lose visibility, search rankings, recommendation carousels, or, frequently bought together, algorithms favor high engagement items. In short, quality cues shifted from controlled marketing to peer validation. Fourth, convenience increasingly dominated purchasing decisions. The rapid growth of online and quick commerce platforms, especially in urban areas of emerging markets, meant that consumers began expecting faster shipping, easier returns, and minimal friction from browsing to delivery. Merchandise that was available instantly, online or in local stores took precedence over goods requiring scheduling of a party, consultant visit, or home demonstration. In India, for instance, online FMCG growth of 30% year-over-year over several quarters reflects how deeply consumers prefer convenience and speed. Fifth, inflation, supply chain stress, and raw material volatility added an extra edge to price sensitivity. As cost of resin, labor, freight, and energy rose, consumers began trading down. Rather than double down on premium brands, many looked for private label or lower-cost alternatives that offered good enough durability and design. Brands trying to maintain premium margins found themselves squeezed between rising input costs and consumer resistance to commensurate price increases. Finally, consumer values around design, sustainability, and aesthetics began to matter more. Buyers increasingly expect not just utility, but style, transparency around materials, durability, and environmental impact. Private label entrants and digitally native brands, because they often start with leaner cost structures, were frequently quicker to incorporate sustainable plastics, minimalist design, and packaging optimized for online photo displays. This meant that heritage brands had to play catch-up both in product design and in how they show off products, online imagery, packaging, reviews. For Tupperware, these market shifts meant that what used to be competitive differentiators, brand name, durable plastic, innovation in lid design, consultant-based demonstrations, became less distinctive. Instead, the market began to reward visibility, speed, price, review metrics, channel availability, and digital marketing prowess. By the time Tupperware attempted to pivot, many competitors had already embedded themselves in these new dimensions of value. Where the value went. Tupperware's financial trajectory over the past decade reveals a stark erosion of value, driven by declining revenues, shrinking margins, and escalating operational challenges. Revenue decline. From a peak of $2.7 billion in 2013, Tupperware's revenue plummeted to $1.3 billion by 2022, marking an 18% year-on-year decline. This downward trend continued into 2023, with the company reporting $1.14 billion in revenue, a further decrease from the previous year. The company's share price mirrored this decline, falling by 75% in 2024 alone, closing at approximately 50 cents on the day of its bankruptcy filing. Margin compression. Despite a gross margin of 62.12% in 2023, Tupperware faced significant profitability challenges. The company's operating margin turned negative, reaching -11.67% by September 2025. This indicates that the company's operating expenses surpassed its gross profits, leading to operational losses. Debt and liquidity issues. Tupperware's financial instability was exacerbated by substantial debt. In September 2024, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, citing declining demand, high debt, and an inability to reverse the declining sales. The bankruptcy filing listed estimated assets between $500 million and $1 billion, with liabilities ranging from $1 billion to $10 billion. Operational challenges. The company's operational model, heavily reliant on direct sales through consultants, became increasingly unsustainable. As consumer preferences shifted towards online shopping and e-commerce, Tupperware's traditional party-based sales approach struggled to adapt. The company also faced challenges in maintaining its manufacturing facilities, leading to closures and relocations. For instance, Tupperware closed its last U.S. manufacturing plant in South Carolina, resulting in the loss of over 100 jobs. Strategic missteps. Efforts to revitalize the brand, including restructuring debt obligations and exploring strategic alternatives, were insufficient to reverse the company's fortunes. In September 2024, Tupperware's stock price dropped dramatically, falling by 75% in 2024 alone to close at approximately 50 cents on the day of the bankruptcy filing. Experiments that came too late. Tupperware's attempts at revitalization in the 2010s and early 2020s were marked by a series of innovation initiatives that ultimately proved insufficient to reverse its decline. These efforts, though well-intentioned, arrived too late and lacked the strategic coherence needed to address the rapidly changing market dynamics. Digital transformation efforts. Recognizing the shift towards e-commerce, Tupperware initiated a digital transformation strategy aimed at modernizing its sales channels. The company launched an online store and partnered with retailers like Target to expand its reach. However, these efforts were hampered by several factors: limited e-commerce infrastructure. Tupperware's existing infrastructure was not designed to support a robust online presence, leading to operational challenges and a subpar customer experience. Cultural resistance. The company's traditional direct sales model created internal resistance to adopting new digital strategies, slowing down the implementation of necessary changes. Late adoption. By the time Tupperware embraced e-commerce, competitors had already established strong online presences, making it difficult for Tupperware to capture significant market share. Product innovation challenges. Tupperware's product development efforts also faced significant hurdles: failure to address consumer trends. The company struggled to align its product offerings with emerging consumer preferences, such as the demand for sustainable and eco-friendly products. Competitors who embraced these trends gained a competitive edge. Lack of compelling new products. Tupperware's attempts to introduce innovative products were often met with limited success. For instance, the launch of microwave pressure cookers failed to resonate with consumers, highlighting the company's difficulty in developing products that met market demands. Missed opportunities for expansion. While other brands leveraged their strong identities to enter new product categories, Tupperware remained stagnant, missing opportunities for growth and diversification. Strategic missteps. Beyond product and digital innovation, Tupperware's strategic decisions also contributed to its downfall. Complacency in brand management. The company's failure to adapt its brand to changing market conditions led to a loss of relevance among consumers. Inadequate response to market competition. Tupperware failed to effectively counter the rise of cheaper alternatives and private label products, eroding its market share. Delayed turnaround efforts. Despite various attempts to revitalize the brand, including leadership changes and restructuring, Tupperware was unable to achieve significant growth or stem the decline in sales. Tupperware's innovation experiments were characterized by late adoption, strategic misalignment, and a failure to anticipate and respond to shifting consumer preferences. These factors culminated in the company's inability to regain its former market position, leading to its eventual bankruptcy. The balance sheet as a stopwatch. Tupperware's balance sheet served as a stark indicator of its impending financial collapse, with mounting liabilities and diminishing assets accelerating the company's downfall. Escalating debt and deteriorating equity. In September 2023, Tupperware reported a net asset deficit of $524.4 million, a significant decline from the previous year's $429.8 million. This negative equity highlighted the company's insolvency, where liabilities exceeded assets by over $500 million. By the time of its bankruptcy filing in September 2024, Tupperware's debt had ballooned to over $700 million, with total liabilities surpassing $1.2 billion. In contrast, its assets were estimated at approximately $679.5 million, underscoring a severe liquidity crisis. Bankruptcy filing and asset liability disparity. Tupperware filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in September 2024, listing assets between $500 million and $1 billion and liabilities ranging from $1 billion to $10 billion. This disparity between assets and liabilities further emphasized the company's financial instability. Debt restructuring and lender intervention. In October 2024, a group of lenders, including Stonehill Capital Management and Alden Global Capital, agreed to purchase Tupperware for $23.5 million in cash and $63.8 million in debt relief. This deal allowed Tupperware to exit bankruptcy and continue operations under new ownership, transitioning to a privately held entity. Stakeholders in the blast radius. Tupperware's Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing in September 2024 had profound effects on a wide array of stakeholders, each facing unique challenges and uncertainties. At the center of the impact were the company's independent sales consultants, numbering over 465,000 globally. These consultants, many of whom relied on Tupperware as a primary or supplementary source of income, faced delayed commissions and an uncertain future for their businesses. The disruption called into question the sustainability of the direct selling model that had been the backbone of Tupperware's operations for decades. The company's full-time and hourly employees, approximately 314 in total, were also thrown into uncertainty. While Tupperware sought court approval to continue paying wages and benefits during the bankruptcy proceedings, the long-term security of these jobs was far from guaranteed. Suppliers and creditors bore another layer of risk. The company owed significant sums to unsecured creditors, including Chung Tassi and Partners Limited, BDO USA, LLP, and Oracle America Incorporated, with claims totaling over $10 million. The bankruptcy created the real possibility that these entities would recover only a fraction of their owed amounts. Retail partners, such as Target, also faced uncertainty. With Tupperware products a part of their inventory, retailers had to reconsider supply continuity, product availability, and potential customer dissatisfaction arising from disruptions. Similarly, loyal customers who depended on Tupperware for its durability and trusted design faced concerns over product availability, after-sales support, and brand continuity. The new ownership and investors who stepped in through a lender-led acquisition faced the delicate task of restructuring the company. In October 2024, Stonehill Capital Management and Alden Global Capital acquired Tupperware for $23.5 million in cash and over $63 million in debt relief. They had to navigate the company's legacy challenges while attempting to modernize operations, adapt the business model, and restore stakeholder confidence. Tupperware's collapse rippled across consultants, employees, suppliers, retailers, customers, and investors alike, highlighting the far-reaching consequences when a legacy company faces structural and market challenges without sufficient adaptability. What a buyer would need to believe acquiring Tupperware brands post-bankruptcy presents both challenges and opportunities. A prospective buyer would need to believe in the viability of transforming a legacy direct sales company into a modern, digital-first enterprise. Brand resilience and market recognition. Tupperware remains a globally recognized brand, known for its innovative kitchen and household products. Despite recent financial challenges, the brand's equity and reputation for quality products provide a solid foundation for revitalization. A buyer would need to believe in the enduring value of the Tupperware brand and its potential to resonate with contemporary consumers. Potential for digital transformation. The company's traditional direct sales model has faced difficulties in adapting to the digital marketplace. However, with strategic investment in e-commerce platforms, digital marketing, and supply chain innovations, there is potential to reach a broader audience and improve operational efficiency. A buyer would need to believe in the feasibility of this digital transformation and the company's ability to compete in the modern retail environment. Operational streamlining. Tupperware's operations in certain markets have been less profitable, leading to a decision to wind down activities in those regions. A buyer would need to believe in the effectiveness of this streamlining strategy and the company's ability to focus resources on more profitable markets, thereby improving overall financial performance. Synergies with existing portfolio. For buyers with existing interests in consumer goods or direct sales models, acquiring Tupperware could offer valuable synergies. Integrating Tupperware's product lines and distribution channels with existing operations could lead to cost savings and enhanced market reach. A buyer would need to believe in the strategic fit of Tupperware within their portfolio and the potential for mutual growth. Commitment to innovation and adaptation. The success of the acquisition will depend on the buyer's commitment to innovation and adaptation. This includes investing in product development to meet evolving consumer preferences, embracing new sales channels, and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. A buyer would need to believe in their ability to lead Tupperware through a successful transformation and position it for long-term success. In conclusion, acquiring Tupperware brands offers the opportunity to rejuvenate a storied brand with a rich history. However, it requires a buyer to have a clear vision, strategic foresight, and the resources to implement necessary changes. The potential for success lies in the buyer's belief in the brand's resilience and their ability to navigate the challenges of modernizing a legacy company. The strategic moral of the story Tupperware's bankruptcy serves as a cautionary tale for businesses that fail to adapt to changing market dynamics. Despite its strong brand recognition and innovative sales model, the company struggled to modernize its operations and align with evolving consumer preferences. This misalignment led to declining sales and financial instability. One of the key lessons is the importance of continuous innovation. Tupperware's reliance on its traditional direct sales model, while once revolutionary, became outdated in the digital age. The company failed to effectively integrate e-commerce and digital marketing strategies, which are crucial for reaching today's tech-savvy consumers. This oversight hindered its ability to compete with more agile and digitally native competitors. Another critical takeaway is the need for strategic agility. Tupperware's inability to pivot its business model and diversify its product offerings left it vulnerable to market shifts. The company's focus on a narrow product line and over-reliance on a single sales channel limited its growth potential. In contrast, successful companies often demonstrate flexibility and responsiveness to market changes, allowing them to capitalize on new opportunities and mitigate risks. Financial discipline also plays a pivotal role in sustaining business operations. Tupperware's mounting debt and liquidity issues underscored the importance of maintaining a healthy balance sheet. Excessive borrowing and poor cash flow management can lead to financial distress, even for well-established brands. Frequent changes in leadership and a lack of cohesive strategic direction contributed to the company's downfall. Effective leadership is essential for setting a clear vision, aligning organizational efforts, and driving sustainable growth. Tupperware's decline illustrates that even iconic brands must evolve to remain relevant. Businesses must embrace innovation, demonstrate strategic agility, maintain financial discipline, and provide strong leadership to navigate the complexities of the modern marketplace. Road Ahead Tupperware's Chapter 11 filing in September 2024 formalized what the numbers had been saying for years: the company's classic strengths no longer matched the market's dominant buying mode. Even as it sought to keep operating during the proceedings and to sell core assets, court records and subsequent filings pointed toward liquidation mechanics to resolve creditor claims. A brand that once taught households to seal freshness tightly couldn't seal out the ambient forces of channel shift, price transparency, and algorithmic discovery. The lesson travels well beyond plastic containers. When the market changes how it buys, companies must change how they create, deliver, and capture value, or they'll be left with great stories about yesterday. About the case author Dr. KBS Kumar is an award-winning management author and educator with over 100 published case studies across business domains and more than 20 international accolades in case writing. A seasoned trainer and mentor, he has guided corporate leaders, academics, and students in mastering case writing and case-based learning, blending academic rigor with practical insights. Through the Caseverse, Dr. Kumar transforms real-world business events into engaging case studies, powerful resources for classrooms, corporate training, managerial development, and strategic thinking. Passionate about nurturing critical and analytical skills, his work bridges theory and practice, offering timeless lessons for navigating today's complex business world.